You get a load of that clown? He really needs to zip it. Here's your look at the brand new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Gold Label Collection, the deadly duo, the Joker. The Joker will go to any lengths to get Harley Quinn back after she's abducted by a strange culprit. But who? Mysterious Joker-like monsters are stalking the streets of Gotham City collecting severed heads. But why? Jim Gordon is missing, and after receiving a package containing a bloody piece of Gotham City's commissioner, Batman knows he must be willing to do anything to save him. But how? When the Joker proposes an uneasy alliance with Batman, the answers to those questions begin to become clear, and they will shake Gotham City and the Bat family to their core. While my tape measure is still in the shop, I won't be able to measure to the top of the brand new deadly duo Joker, but what I can do at least is bring in other Jokers for size comparisons. First, here's what the figure looks like with the Infinite Frontier Joker, always still one of my favorites. Here's as well what the figure looks like with the Death of the Family Joker as well. Now, this one did have the skin face mask, so you can see like they're pretty close with one another size-wise to the new Joker here. This Joker build and body, I feel, in fact, is actually being used from the comedian Joker that was part of the Three Jokers line. I figure I probably should have also brought in as well. And then just to free up a little bit of space, if you wanted to see what this Joker then looked like with a Batman, of course, the always Batman I'm going to be going to is the one that we get from the Nightfall line. And a big thank you to the folks once again at McFarlane Toys that did provide this sample of the deadly duo Joker that we could have a look at. This was one I was really excited about, specifically because not only do we get ourselves an alternate regular Joker's face, but also we get the zipped up zipper mask, one that we really have yet to see in plastic releases. Before, of course, we look at the figure, let's look at the accessories that come along with him. First, the figure comes with quite a substantially large display stand. This one happens to have printed across it not only Joker upside down, but also you can see as well many different ha-ha-has. If it does look familiar to you, it just happens to be the one that we also got from before. This was the one that came included with the Superman 85th Anniversary Edition figure. Same molded plastic. The only thing that's done differently is, of course, the Superman had the very more familiar Superman symbol on the top. This one, again, has something more closer to the Clown Prince of Crime. One thing that they have also added, let me just bring back in the original Superman so you can see. Remember the bottom section here had a hole. I may have even mentioned in that review, I wasn't sure really what that hole was going to be. Sure enough, that hole happens to also now be plugged, as there's a little peg that's sticking out. That peg will serve a purpose in a moment. Also, the figure comes included with this really interesting backdrop. The backdrop features on one side at least Arkham Asylum, and then on the other side, speaking of zipper masks, the one then Joker is wearing, you can see he's cutting up some bats down below with his scissors. Really nice looking image. I think ultimately though, this by the way is a very thick cardstock. I will probably just be displaying it, I think, with Arkham Asylum. What you can do though, slot it on the back here, you can see there's an open little groove. Take then the back, and then that just basically slides in place like this. Superman would have had one, although Superman's would have just been the silhouetted image of him kind of side profiling, flying across the screen. I do like the look of this one though. And this, if I can find the space, of course, because of course this is going to be taking up a lot more of that, I'm going to find a way at least to put this on my shelf the way it is right now. Now, the figure also comes included with a trading card. The trading card does have the Joker. Once again, it's the same image that was the inverted flipped image of the one that we already looked at for the backdrop. Does again have Joker snapping away the wings of the bat with the scissors. This is from the Batman and the Joker, the deadly duo, in which the two team up. On the back, we've got the certificate of authenticity, indicating that this certifies it's a limited edition worldwide product. The Joker figurine is an authentic and officially licensed by McFarlane Toys. The figurine was created, developed, and designed by Todd McFarlane and his award-winning design crew. Though it's not really signed, at least it does have the stamp of Todd's signature down below. And of course, we can put that to the side. There really isn't a place that you can store the card unless you, for example, wanted just to put it tucked inside the groove along with the backdrop. You could also as well just take the backdrop off completely and store the card in that way as well. I think I won't do either. I'll really end up just putting this in with the rest of my trading card sheets, as that seems to be the place, normally is the place, that all my trading cards go. Okay, so remember we did talk about the fact there was that one little peg to the corner that wasn't there before when we looked at the 85th Anniversary Superman. What is that there for? Well, you do also get, along with this, the little Joker monster. The Joker monster is part bat, part Joker, and all deadly. I mean, look at the fangs on this thing. I love the fact that they actually took the time, as small as it may be, to paint that little beady eye of red on both sides. And of course, it does have a little tongue, top and bottom chompers. Nicely painted. Some of the yellow looks like it does bleed a little bit onto the red, but overall, for the size of what this thing actually is, it's a really nice little creature. Has no posability at all to speak of. And there really isn't a place that can be attached onto Joker. And I thought, for example, you maybe could attach it onto his thumb. Not the most awkward, one of the most awkward places to obviously put it. But instead, rather, there's a hole on the bottom of the bat's foot. What you can do is picking up back that display stand. Remember that little peg that we were talking about? Well, you take yourself the little Joker monster, and it snaps in place like this. It really isn't the place I really feel a flying creature should belong. If anything, a flying stand should probably work a little bit better. If it was, say, a clear post, a little tiny post, maybe even just that length, could have then attached the bat on top of that. But again, you've got yourself like a little, kind of more on the ground than in the air, but at least you've got yourself a little Joker monster. As we leave that to the side, the figure does also include one other accessory, and this really good Joker alternate head sculpt. Now, I will say right away, looking at the pages of the original Deadly Duo, I don't think Joker's head sculpt looked necessarily like this. The big smile was still there, as well as the sinister look on his face, but I feel like in the comics, his hair was shorter on the sides. It certainly did have a lot of body and volume on the top, but I think it was more of like a brush cut here on the sides, and it was a lot brighter than what it actually is right now. I like the head sculpt. I just think like the skin tone for what Joker is here is a little too dark of a gray. Now, this can be swapped out with his existing head if you don't prefer, for example, obviously, that he doesn't have a zipper mask. If you don't like that, easily just take this off. Before we do that, though, I also want to show you guys what that zipper mask looks like. Let's just, for a second, just move this out of the way. Don't want to distract the camera for what it needs to be looking at. So getting a closer look, though, at Joker's face, of course, it does have the zippers on the sides of his eyes, and then, of course, the zipper what would be revealing his mouth. A really unique design to Joker, very as much unique as the skin face mask that he has in Death of the Family. The only thing I will say, though, is by using the body of the comedian Joker, it looks proportionally okay here for the jacket, the arms, and the legs. The only thing it doesn't proportionally do well is the fact it doesn't give him a long enough neck. Now, one thing I did do as a workaround to that, first of all, you can take the figure's head and pop this off. It just sits on top of a ball joint after all. And then you would just replace it. We're going to do that more in a moment. We're going to just replace it with the Joker's head. Normally, though, when you do put the head sculpt in, obviously you're going to push it all the way in until finally it snaps onto the ball peg. I think rather I'm going to do instead, just because if you look at the figure's neck, he doesn't have a lot of it. But what he does have, though, is a very long post on the end. So instead of actually pushing it down all the way, if you just balance it, pushing it just down enough so it actually holds itself, you can give it a little more of a length of a neck, and it doesn't look like Joker's head is then resting on his shoulders. It won't, will it survive? It will survive the blizzard test, but again, you don't have to push it all the way down. The moment you push it all the way down, you're going to be getting rid of what little neck he actually does have. That same rule also applies when we do that with also the Joker's head sculpt. So instead of actually pushing it down all the way, which normally you would do with your figures, I'm going to push it all the way down so you guys can see. What it does do is it eliminates his neck completely, and I feel like the head is then way too big for the rest of his body. Instead, just bring it up only just a little bit. In fact, just take it off altogether completely, and then just rest it on the top. Just enough, again, that it catches itself and it stays in place. I mean, you could still rotate the figure's head. Of course, it's going to be sitting a little bit looser, but at least it would give you a little bit more of a neck. I still, though, feel like the head sculpt is maybe a little too big for the rest of the figure's body. Although, honestly, when we looked at the comedian figure's body, which, again, I think this is the body from that, I think also it had the same problem, as its head was too big and it sat too close to his shoulders. But again, this kind of gives you a workaround. Again, like you're probably not going to be able to move this. I mean, you could still move it around, but to get really the full effect of the ball joints for this figure, you're going to have to push the head all the way down. So we're going to do that just enough that's going to catch it. I think that's okay for right now. This head sculpt, again, is a really nice looking Joker. My only takeaway from a complaint standpoint is I feel like the coloring on the skin is a little too dark. If, though, we were to say compare it, we're one of the best Jokers we've gotten, I feel at least, the Infinite Crisis Joker. I do like the more paler nature of the Clown Prince of Crime here. He also has more higher hair like this, which I think also was the case in the Deadly Duo. He didn't really have this hairstyle. It certainly was, though, a lot shorter on the sides. Now, for the rest of the figure's body, again, utilizing this specific mold, he does have then the closed-up jacket. The only thing about the closed-up jacket, if I just put the other Joker away here, I just want to make sure he's not going to fall. This particular jacket works well for the comics, although I think in the comics he would have actually had pinstripe suits, both a pinstripe suit, pinstriped pants. That was hard to say. This one actually doesn't have that at all. Instead of what they've just done is molded here in purple plastic, just go back and adding a few little extra lines I think would have gone a long way to make this look a little bit more accurate to the way it would have looked in the comics. But for what it is, it's not a bad looking Joker. I think again, like they just would have wanted to use a mold that they already have in their inventory, and it just so happened that with this one, I don't think it really delivers as well of a deadly duo Joker as I would have liked. The colors are still good there. You got the color of the shirt, of course, more in a kind of a green color. You got the more mustard colored vest down below, and you got the little tied off tie that he has at the top. But again, like all the rest of the figure, I don't feel like proportionally fits the frame, especially of this particular head sculpt. And it really did definitely need to use the panel lining to add some nice, much needed pinstripes on both the jacket and the pants. For the figure's articulation, as it is right now, the figure does have a ball joint, so it can rotate back and forth. Because, again, I don't have the head all the way down, it means that it's going to be sitting a lot looser than what it normally would be. But, again, it does give you then a little bit of extra length, though, for the neck. Normally, though, if you had the head all the way down, let's just push all the way down, yes, you would still be able to do all the things that normally you'd be able to do with a ball joint. You just would lose a lot of Joker's neck in the process. Figure's arms do rotate all the way around as well. You can also take those arms and bring them out, as squeaky as they may be. This jacket, as you probably would expect, is a very soft plastic that they would have used, while the arms themselves are harder plastic, and basically the frame that's underneath would be all hard plastic as well. He does have an upper torso ball joint. Actually, just before that, we look at the rest of the figure's arm articulation. Arms rotate bicep-wise all the way around. Figure does have a double hinge on the elbow, and the hands rotate all the way around. Going back, though, to the torso, this is softer plastic, but underneath that, if you had X-ray vision, you'd be able to see that the figure does have a ball joint, so you can rotate the torso all the way around. The legs do split, and once again, they are on ratcheted joints. You can take those legs and bring them forward, as squeaky as it may be, because it's going to be rubbing against the plastic of the jacket. You can bring them back. Again, you can bring them out. There's a swivel at the top of the thigh, a double hinge, I was going to say single hinge, a double hinge on the knee, articulation in the foot both up and down this way, and an ankle rocker this way as well with toe articulation. You know, in hindsight, I probably should have brought in the original comedian Joker so you guys could have seen from the Three Jokers line. Again, using that single body build gives us the Deadly Duo Joker. It's an okay figure. I mean, obviously, I think for me, the draw of getting this is actually getting the zipper mask, because we don't really have, I can't even think of any other company that's actually done yet the zipper mask joke from Deadly Duo. So that's a nice touch that they could have included this. The thing about it, though, is while I really also like this head sculpt for Joker, I think the coloring and the pigmentation of his skin is maybe a little too gray to then swap it out with another Joker, because it's a really good looking head sculpt, but I think like the skin tone is maybe just a little too dingy and gray. And of course, by using the body that they did with what they had to work with, means that unfortunately the figure sacrifices the pinstripes in the jacket and the legs, and also as well, it sacrifices a lot in the neck. Without the longer neck that Joker's normally having, I mean, like, obviously, just to slide this guy back over and bring back in, I think the benchmark, I know some people would say, well, why do you like so much the Infinite Frontier Joker? I like it because he's lanky, I like it because he's tall, and I like it because proportionally, Joker should be a really skinny looking villain, and he has a really long neck. This is, I feel, what a figure should have been working with. I mean, obviously they couldn't have used, I don't think they probably could have used this particular jacket, because I think a lot of the times Joker does have, I mean, based on, you know, the only few panels, he does have more of the jacket kind of done up half the time. But I think had they only used, say, this body instead of this one here from the comedian, we might have gotten even a better proportioned Joker than the one we get right here. Due to whatever blocking it would do to the Clown Prince of Crime, I've decided to 86 the cardboard background, just because, again, when you're seeing the figure from the back as like right now, you wouldn't be able to see anything other than the back image. So while it's not here, at least for final looks, it will, though, find its place back home when it comes to displaying this guy on the shelf. I like these display stands. The thing about the display stands, though, and I may have even said that when we had a look at the 85th anniversary Superman figure, is that the placement of the peg is dead center. It looks fine from a standing of a display stand, but when you have your figures with a wider stance, which is going to happen really anytime you're going to be putting a figure on a display stand, it always means that the figure, especially like Joker here, is always going to be shimmied off to the side. And then you've got sort of this empty space here on the front. I mean, it's a little less empty, obviously, because we've got the little Joker monster that's plugged onto the front, now making use of that hole that was very strangely there when we first had a look at the Superman. That makes more apparent sense now. And I'm sure they're probably going to be then using that peg for future figures down the road. This Joker is good. This Joker could have been better, though. Going back and still looking at the original Deadly Duo Joker, he has accurate enough suits, but it's missing, again, a lot of the necessary details. The pinstripes, for example, are completely omitted here when it comes to the jacket and the pants. I think that's something that really would have had to add a little extra pizzazz to the figure. And then, of course, when it comes to the head sculpts, because, of course, they're using, once again, the comedian body, it means that Joker really he's really relegated to very little in the way of neck. Now, I've got what I've done in the review. I've had the neck kind of a little extended by just barely attaching the head onto the top of the ball joint. You can do that too. It just means that it's not going to be as secure, and if you go to rotate the head around, for example, it may pop off periodically, but at least it does give him a little extra reach. Something, unfortunately, isn't the case if you pop the head all the way down. I'm not sure really if I'm going to be displaying this, though, with the zipper mask, or I'm going to be displaying it with this Joker. I like this Joker head sculpt, but it is, though, a little on the more pale side. I wish the complexion was a little lighter, a little whiter, just because, again, like when I think of Joker, and especially the way he looks in the comics, I don't think he's as gray as what we're getting here in the plastic release of him. What do you guys, though, think of the deadly duo Joker? I think he's good, but like I said, I think he could have been better. Big thank you once again to the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide the sample of the brand new DC Multiverse, the Deadly Duo Gold Label Collection Joker, along with a little Joker monster bat. What do you guys think of the figure? Let me know down below in the comments section, and as well, as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, I want to hit with a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and you're on board for more DC Multiverse reviews, hey, you're in luck. We're going to be looking at a whole bunch more in upcoming reviews. The key to making sure that you're not missing out on any of that, yes, hit the subscribe button down below. Sure, turn on the bell notification, and more importantly, make sure you're coming back regularly. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.